And we're live. Hello, beautiful souls. Oh, welcome to another YouTube Hangout. I'll try not to scream from excitement because I have a very special guest here. He's someone who I can say changed my life. He's someone who I learn from every day. He inspires me every day. And to being able to talk to him today, it's a very big accomplishment for me. So I want to introduce you to Evan Carmichael. Thank you, Evan.
Hey, woo! All screaming excitement. Here we are. This is exciting.
So everybody, this is Evan. Probably lots of you know him already. His mission is to help 1 billion entrepreneurs. And it's not just a number. It's not like he's tracking like how many people he's helping. It's a big mission of changing the world in his way. And Evan, can you tell us a little bit more about that and how much you believe in people and why?
Sure. I'm getting an echo on yours right there. You may need to mute the speaker. Go headphones.
Oh, 1 second.
Sometimes Hangouts. Oh, is it better? Yeah, there we go. It sounds better. Sometimes Hangouts gets funky. So it comes to a couple things. You know, believe is my one word. It comes from my parents. It comes from my upbringing. I believe in people. I was always told that, you know, I was Evan Carmichael. I could do anything that I want. When I had my first business, I struggled a lot and, you know, had some of the worst days of my life in building that up and just wanted to try to help others not have to go through the same pains that I went through. You know, I believe entrepreneurs are going to solve all the world's major problems. It's not corporations and it's not the government. It's going to be us entrepreneurs. And so I want to help spread that message of belief to have a tiny impact, you know, on a billion entrepreneurs. I think if I could do that, then a lot of the world's problems will be solved. I don't get to touch everybody kind of in person, one-on-one, but through the videos, through the book, through the content that I make, hopefully I have an impact. You know, you said some really nice words at the beginning. I think it's, you know, too much credit. You did all the work. You're posting videos on your channel. You're the one doing the work. I provide maybe a little bit of spark, a little bit of motivation. And if I have, you know, a 0.5% impact on somebody's life and they go off and do something amazing, I think if I can do that, you know, 1 billion times over, that's a pretty powerful impact on the world. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
When you say you have just a little impact, that's not true, but okay, we're gonna leave it there. And yeah, I love, like you always saying, like YouTube or your book and everything is just a tool, because it's not about getting subscribers, or it's about reaching more people, so more people can be can realize that they can believe in themselves and actually do and change the world. Like you convinced me that I can, so thank you.
I love it, and you are every day making videos. It's great.
And also, I want to talk about your start, because you're now helping me. And when you were starting, it wasn't that easy for you. And I want to talk specifically about your first presentation and when only 3 people showed up.
Okay.
So if you can tell us, after all this preparation, when you entered the room and there were only three people sitting there, how you felt and how you felt after the presentation.
Yeah, so you've done your homework. Alexandra's done her research. Yeah, so after I sold my company, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 22 years old, trying to kind of find my path of what to do next. I got asked to do some speaking overseas to help young entrepreneurs, and I had a great time and kind of flying to different countries. And I thought I should do something like at home. Like, why do I have to fly around the world? How about there's a lot of entrepreneurs in my city? I should do something. And so I partnered up with a YMCA. And for those of you who don't know YMCA, I guess it's a group that helps the communities with different initiatives, whether it's health and fitness or entrepreneurship or education. And he said, okay, let's put on a program. I'll come in for an afternoon and do some training to help entrepreneurs. And they had an entrepreneur program and they were trying to help people, young entrepreneurs, get their business off the ground. I thought, this is cool. Like, I'm excited. This is my first Toronto local home event. And I really wanted to be good, and it was going to be free. I wasn't getting paid to do it, but it didn't matter because I was really excited to share my message. And I spent, weeks preparing my slides and practicing and promoting it, and they were promoting it. And we had this big room, and we're all excited to go and do this presentation. And as I get to the building, I remember I'm opening the door, my palms are getting sweaty, my heart's racing. I'm so excited to go and do this thing. And I open the door, I walk into the room, and there's 3 people. And, this huge room, and I'm expecting a crowd. And the first thought was, well, how am I ever going to turn this into something successful if I can only have 3 people show up to a free event? How am I ever going to make this into a business? And so I was really kind of depressed and sad and looking at the room, and you realize, man, there's nobody here. What am I doing? And then I realized, you know what? I prepared. There's still 3 people here. Let's just do the best we can. And what happened that day was really special in that those 3 people were really helped. I could tell I had a really big impact on them. They walked into that room and they came out with new ideas and new hope and new, belief and inspiration to go off and do something. And it just felt good. It filled my soul. It made me feel like I want to do this more. I don't know if I'm ever going to get paid to do this. It didn't make any logical sense or practical sense, but I have to keep doing it just because it makes me feel great. And that was the beginning. And I just kept finding ways to do more. And 3 people came to the first one, and then 5 to the next, and then 8 to the next, and then 15, and then 20, and just I kept doing it every month or every couple of weeks. I kept doing it. More people showed up. People started telling their friends, and it built from there. And this is before I had a website and before I had a YouTube channel, and it was just a start. We all start at the start. We all suck at the start. Nobody shows up or cares at the start. And you just keep doing it. And if you're consistent on it, eventually you'll get better, and you'll start to build up your audience.
Yeah, amazing. You see, you never give up, always believe.
That's it.
And like you said in your amazing book, everybody has their core value. And you see, you were not aware at the time, but your belief was exactly there at that room with these 3 people. So after you became aware of it, and after you acknowledged that your one core value, your word is belief, how did it change you? How was Evan before the belief and after the belief?
So that's a great question. When I came up with believe, when I came up with my one word, I had success. It wasn't like my life sucked and I was at the bottom and I would do anything to kind of get out of it. I had sold my first business. I started my second. It was growing. I built a team. I just felt like there was more. I felt like I'm nowhere close to my potential. I felt like I know I could be doing way more than what I'm doing right now. I just don't know what it is. I'm missing something and I can't figure out what that is. And so I started on this journey to try to figure out what is missing. And at the start, I just thought it was I need a different marketing tagline for my website. That's how it began. I need a different. I don't like my tagline. It doesn't feel right. And as I tried to discover my new tagline, it went a lot. I went into myself and started thinking, this isn't just about the business. It's about me. It's like, what do I stand for? Who am I? And I started coming across different resources, different materials, different speeches that really spoke to me. I thought about my background, my history, what I liked, what I learned from my parents. And I came down to this word of believe. And this wasn't super fast. There was no blueprint to follow. I was just trying to figure things out as I went. And I wrote down a list of different ideas, and believe was in the middle of that list. And then I thought, believe is too simple. It's only one word, it's like, it's not enough. So I left it, I slept on it. And then I came back the next day. It's like, I really believe just popped off the page. There's something about it that just resonated, but I need to add something to it. I need believe in yourself, believe in your, I just added a whole bunch of things to it. And the more I looked at it, I was like, none of these feel right. Believe just feels right. And then I thought, that's crazy. It's crazy to imagine that everything can kind of be boiled down to one word. And then I started doing my research, and I found that, there are other entrepreneurs who've done this, who've built a business around their one word. And I went to go talk to them and interview them and say, like, how did you find your one word? How did you then build a business around it? And I realized that everybody just kind of did it their own way. And this is from somebody who built one of the examples, and they're all in the book. Like, I interviewed them and put them in the book. Somebody who built a $50,000 business and a $500,000 business and a $1 million business and $5 million and $150 million business. And all of them just kind of did it on their own. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to write a blueprint, like, so other people could follow along and do the same thing? I wanted that for myself to grow my business, but also as a gift to other people to be able to follow in these footsteps. And so, like a typical entrepreneur, instead of just complaining and wishing something existed, you know, we create it ourselves. We find a problem and we don't complain, we find a solution. And that ended up being the book. And so it helped me with what I'm doing, but also hopefully now shortcuts the process for other people to go through to be able to, you know, rapidly figure out what it is that you stand for and then apply it to your life and your business as well.
Oh, well, I'm living an example of that. So your book actually works. So thank you. And I also want to thank you for writing it on such a beautiful way, such a simple way. Like everywhere, if you open it anywhere, you can start and finish. Like you don't have to write 10 more pages to the end. Like even now, like I read a few times and I can just go and, like, you know, see where I want to go, is read one chapter or like one page, and that's going to be enough. Like I have enough knowledge from that page.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you felt that, because it was one of the biggest fights I had with my publisher, because they wanted long paragraphs and long chapters, and I'm like, I hate reading a book that is 50 pages long chapter and you read half of it and then you're like flipping to see how many more pages are in this chapter, and then you read more pages and you forgot what you read, so you have to go back 5 pages and read it all again. And I just hated that. And so I wanted a place where I wanted a book. I enjoy reading books where you can start and stop at any point. It's easy to stop if you're going to bed or you're getting off the subway or whatever, the time runs out, you can stop it. And it's easy, and you can pick it up the next day, or you can just keep reading. Like it flows really well. And so basically every page you can stop somewhere. It's easy to stop. And then I also wrote it in language that is easy to understand. You know, my wife wasn't born in Canada, and English was their second language. And being in Toronto, almost everybody is from somewhere else. You know, Canada is a nation of immigrants, and especially in our city of Toronto. And so I wanted the book to be easy enough for anybody to understand, not full of complicated words. And again, something that I fought with the publisher on, and that we should make this sound more sophisticated. And like, no, like it has to be simple. It's got to be easy to read. It's got to flow well. I don't want crazy long paragraphs. I don't want crazy, you know, sophisticated language. I want it to be easy for people to digest. And so that's been one of the best feedbacks that came. And it's great to hear that you say it too. And I'm going to send this video to my publisher after to watch it.
That was amazing. That was the best thing. And now when you're mentioning the immigrants from Toronto, do you think that when you were growing up and there was a lot of immigrants and people from all over the world, do you think that affected how open-minded you and how you believe in people?
I'm sure it did. I think it's a combination of, you know, my parents being very open-minded. I think my mom especially faced prejudice growing up. And so she kind of made it a part of all of us that we should be open-minded. I think Toronto, again, we're probably the most, if not one of the most multicultural cities in the world. So you grow up with people from every culture. It's just, you don't have to learn how to work with somebody from another culture. It's just part of what you do. It's just normal life here. There's not a lot of kind of culture shock from learning from other people. And I think just in general, Canada is a friendly country. You know, everybody likes Canadians for the most part. You know, it's part of our culture to be friendly and get along. And so for me, I don't see gender, I don't see color, I don't see race, I don't see, you know, religion. When people write on my YouTube channel, hey, you should profile more whatever entrepreneurs, more musicians, or more Black people, or more women, or more handicapped people, or more. It's like I don't label anybody. You know, I want good content. I see that. I try to see just the talent in people, and if there's a great message, whether they're white or Black or politician or from whatever country, doesn't matter to me. It's much more about, can I get wisdom to help me be a better version of me? So I think that combination of like being in Canada, being in Toronto, the culture, and also my parents and the values instilled, just allowed me to be more open growing up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can see that, like, I noticed with you, like, you don't make a difference, like it's all people. You believe in everybody. It doesn't matter where you're from or what is your background. So thank you for that. And also, I want to connect this question with the ego. So a lot of entrepreneurs, they're struggling with the ego. So do you think it can help them or hurt them?
So I think there are some people who have too big an ego, and that gets in their way of being able to listen to feedback and being open to ideas. I think that's not most people, though. I think most people are the opposite. I think most people are afraid of having too big an ego, and then as a result, they don't share their story and themselves. And that was me. When I first started sharing content, it wasn't on YouTube, it was my website, and had profiles of famous entrepreneurs and how they got started. And people would always ask me, what's your story? Like, how did you get started? Well, you know, why do you like entrepreneurs? And even to this day, the most popular requested top 10 is mine. Like, people want to know my top 10 more than anybody else, which is humbling. At the beginning, I always felt like, well, who am I? Like, I'm profiling Steve Jobs and Oprah Winfrey and all these huge entrepreneurs. Like, sure, I built and sold a company, but I'm a nobody compared to these people. And so even though the website was under my name, I always took a back seat. Like, my picture wasn't anywhere, my story wasn't anywhere, and people kept asking, and I felt like I didn't deserve the attention, and it wasn't about me. And so, like, the ego got in the way, but from a negative perspective. And then what I realized was, by sharing my story, it doesn't have to be in a really egotistical, all about me way. By people getting to know me, why I do what I do, what my message is, why I believe what I believe, it actually ties them more to what I'm doing. It allows them to hear the message more. So by people connecting to me, they're much more likely to consume the content on the website or consume the videos on the YouTube channel. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's actually the thing that allows us to stand out against our competition. If you are starting a business and you're competing against big, giant companies who have more money than you and more reputation and more history and more customers, like all the things that they have in their advantage, the thing that they don't have is a human connection. They don't have a personal touch. They don't have a story. Like, you don't feel deeply connected to Microsoft, you know, or American Express. Like, you don't have a connection to them, but you can to an entrepreneur. You can to a human, you know. And so if I know why you started your business, if I know why you're writing that book, if I know why you're doing this YouTube channel, if I know why, you know, you're doing this thing and what your core value, what your one word is, if I connect to that, then I'm much more likely to want to work with you and buy from you because I've connected to your story first. And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs try to look professional, try to have a standard website, and you're playing the big player game, and you're going to lose because they will always be more corporate than you will be. Where what you want to do is not be unprofessional, but show yourself, tell your story. Have a, you know, if you can't do a video, then have a smiling picture of yourself and just a written paragraph as to why you're doing what you're doing. It's really important. It's how you stand out as an entrepreneur.
Yes, that's what I learned from you, and that's when I started, I was just said, like, I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna share what my thoughts and my beliefs, and who likes me is gonna like me because of that, because who I am. So thank you for that also. And also tell me, like, what skills should entrepreneurs develop? What is like the skill that there is like a must for the people to succeed in business?
I don't know that there's a must skill, because I think any skill you could pick up really quickly. I think if you have passion for something, you could pick up that skill super fast. I think if you think about what you learned in school, you know, a lot of the information you don't remember anymore because it wasn't interesting. You memorize it for some test and then poof, it's gone. But when there was something that you were really interested in, you could pick it up really quickly. I think like if somebody wanted to be a YouTuber, you could be in the top 1% of YouTubers in a couple months if you really cared about it, if you really put in the work, if you really studied, you're really passionate about it. So any skill, I think you can learn really quickly if you have the passion and drive behind it. I think what's more important than the specific skill is developing the habits and routines to allow you to be successful. So consistency is one of the biggest things that holds people back. You know, somebody wants to start a YouTube channel and it's like, great, I'll make a video, and you're excited and you're fired up, and then the next day you wake up and it's like, nobody wants to hear my message. I'm not getting views or comments, and I'm not good enough, and that's really bad. And then you don't make a video for 4 days, and then you decide to do it again, and it's constantly like this start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. Where if you just stayed consistent, if you just kept working at it every single day and found a way to do it, you'll have a lot more success. And so I think consistency is super important. I think the self-awareness is super important. I think creating a morning routine that serves you is super important, so that every day you wake up and you're doing the thing that helps you get, you know, boldness, confidence, so that you want to go off and have a great day. I think those habits and routines in the environment is really important because it sets you up to be able to learn any skill that you need to be successful as an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Can you tell us what is your morning routine?
I get asked that a lot. It's always interesting, and I'll answer it. I think more important than what I do is what you guys can do, what the audience can do. But I'll tell you mine first. So I wake up. I usually weigh myself. I have to send some data to my personal trainer on like how many calories I ate and how much I weigh and all that. I'll then grab a big glass of water. So like I always have water near me because I like your water has strawberries in it, so that looks a lot more delicious than what I'm having, but it's still water. You're dehydrated in the morning, and so it's important to have some water. Then I'll put on music. I'll put on a song. I have a Believe playlist that I listen to. It's a public playlist. You guys can find that on my channel. But the songs don't matter. Like, you may not like the songs. There's songs that are exciting for me. The right song is the one that makes you move, because you wake up and you're groggy, you're tired, you're starting your day. And if you can get a song going that like makes you want to move and dance and jive and shake, whatever that is, if the Smurfs theme song is a thing that, gets you excited, great. Like, play the Smurfs or Mozart or Lady Gaga or whatever. Like, no judgment as to what song you like. Just play those songs. And that instantly changes my state. From there, I'll drive my wife to the subway so she can get to work. I'll come back. I'll do some breathing techniques, the Wim Hof breathing. I'll take a cold shower. I'll review what my goals are for the day. Every day I have kind of different goals that I want to accomplish. Remind myself that what I'm doing today is important, that I need to go out and make a difference and have an impact and not just kind of coast and take it easy. And then, usually watch a video or two or review some of the content that's going up on my channel. And then I start my day. Then each day is something different. Today is Thursday. We're recording this. It's my public-facing day. It's interviews, podcasts, phone calls, meetings, all the kind of extroverted stuff that I do for my business. And each day I have something different to do. So that's what I do. I think what's much more important for people watching is we've all had these moments where you felt bold and you felt confident and you felt alive and you felt like, I can do something amazing. We've all had these moments. Unfortunately, it's not 24 hours a day, right? Unfortunately, these moments like come in really small doses over the course of months or years sometimes. And so what I encourage people to do is whatever that thing was that made you feel bold, to incorporate it into your morning routine. Because what happens too often is maybe you're watching this interview and it's 4 o'clock on the East Coast on a Thursday afternoon and you're getting inspired and you go off and you're working really hard for the rest of the day, and then we're all going to wake up tomorrow and it's like poof, like where did that energy, that boldness, what happened? I fell back down to earth. And so understanding whatever that thing is that gets you feeling bold, to plan that into your morning routine. So if watching Alexandra's videos gets you fired up and like ready to go, then watch your videos every day. And that could be reading a book, or it could be listening to a podcast, or whatever it is. The thing that gets you feeling bold, you want to now incorporate that into your morning routine. I created my YouTube channel to share wisdom and knowledge, but also selfishly for myself, because I wanted to be around greatness. I wanted to be around people doing great things. And so I'm so fortunate that I get to create it and share it, and people like it. So I'm not just creating the channel for myself. You know, I get to, people like to consume the same stuff, and it allows me to build a team so I don't have to do everything myself. But if you can start your day every day with something that makes you feel bold and courageous, imagine the impact that that has over a course of a year. Like, how much does your life and your business change in a year if every day you're doing something and you're starting your day being courageous and thinking boldly, as opposed to the start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. And so whatever that thing is, it's different for all of us. So for the people watching, think about what is the thing that makes you feel bold and come alive, and then how do you bring that into your daily routine and have some variety in it. Because for me, watching the same video, I can't watch the same video every day and be inspired. Like, the first time you watch is great, and the second time it loses, and every time you watch it, you know, by the 10th time, it's not inspiring to you anymore. So I needed different sources every morning, which is why I have, you know, what I do on my YouTube channel. But finding that thing, making it into your daily routine, you do that for a year, your life will look totally different a year from today.
Yeah, thank you. And not just the morning, like the whole day, organizing your time. So many people like sending me messages, oh, I would love to start meditating, I would love to start a YouTube channel, or I would love to start a business or be more healthy, but I don't have time. Like, that's my favorite excuse, I don't have time. But then how you have time? Like, you have time to spend time with your family, you know, Nina, Hayden, and Timo, and to play the League of Legends, or to watch the Blue Jays, or to dance salsa, and also to have businesses and have a successful YouTube channel. So having no time is excuse. Everybody needs to organize themselves a little more.
Yeah, I think for that, it starts with accepting responsibility for your life. The minute you complain and the minute you blame something else, it feels great. Like, it's great to say I don't have time, right? Like, I don't have time because I have a boss who's making me work X hours a day and I come home and I'm super tired, or I don't have time because I have to go look after, you know, my parents because they're sick, or I have, you know, responsibilities, and we all have responsibilities. So there's an easy tendency to want to blame other people or blame other circumstances. And there's people who say I'm not successful because I didn't get the right education, or, you know, President Trump is a bad guy and he's messing me up, or the currency is wrong, or like there's all sorts of. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, why am I not more successful? And usually there's some excuse that comes back. And time is one of the big ones that comes back. Time is about priorities. If you don't have priorities, then you're not going to be successful in anything that you're doing. You're always going to be victim to somebody else's time. And so I really try to avoid saying I don't have time. I just say I choose not to make it a priority. Because once you own your situation, you own your schedule, you own your time, you own your education and your finances and where you are, once it's your fault, then it sucks at the start because there's nobody else to blame. It's great to be able to blame your parents for all your problems in life. But at some point, you know, like it's your life. You got to take responsibility. So it sucks at the start, but then you realize, you know what? I can make a change now. You know, it's in my control. I'm responsible for where I am. Until you accept responsibility for where you are in life, no matter what hand you were dealt at the start, then you don't make a change. And what's great to see is you rarely see the children of really wealthy people go off and do amazing things. You rarely see kids who are born into a luxurious lifestyle ever do anything amazing. The people who have all the resources lined up for them, right? They have the best education and tons of money and tons of connections. They rarely go off and do anything great. If you look at the successful entrepreneurs, the people who built massive companies, had a huge impact, they came from nothing. Like, they came from poor families, poor education, didn't get, you know, venture capital funding to start their company. For the most part, they came from nothing. And so while most people are sitting there complaining about what they don't have, there are people who started with way less than what you have right now who've already gone on to have a huge impact. You know, I think of Oprah Winfrey, who grew up and had no money and was raised by her grandmother and was beaten by her family and, you know, was raped at a young age and had so little money that she had to wear potato bags as clothes. Like, her family would cut up a potato bag and turn that into a dress, and that's what she would wear to school because she had no money. So it's like, it's hard to imagine that whoever's watching that your situation is worse than that. Like, are you wearing potato bags as clothing? Were you, you know, beaten and raped as a, it's like, she came from that and she didn't complain and she took ownership for her life and she went on to build something amazing. And you can too, but you can't do that until you accept responsibility for where you are in life. It just doesn't happen. So stop complaining about time, stop complaining about money, stop complaining, period, and start making a change.
Oh, love it. Thank you. This is so empowering. Thank you for this. And I know we're running out of time. I don't want to take any more of the time, but I have another last question for the end. If you can tell me what I could do better, with this interview and how I can step up my game. What is your advice for me?
That's great. That's a good question. I don't often get asked that. So first of all, I would watch, and this is for anybody watching, I would watch any self-defeating language that you use, because the language you use and how you talk about yourself makes a difference. So even what you just said, I don't want to take up any more of your time, is self-defeating. What you're trying to say is, thank you so much for your time. I'm really grateful for the time that we're spending together. Not that spending time with you is a waste of time, right?
Yes.
Right? And so when you're interviewing somebody, or just in general, like if it's somebody you respect and you're talking to mentors, you definitely want to respect their time. You definitely want to show, like, why am I doing this? Or why would a mentor want to come and talk to you? Well, they're hoping that you're going to take some action, that you're grateful and you're going to do something about it. So that's really what we want to see. So even shifting language to say, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really grateful for, as opposed to, no, you didn't say, like, I'm sorry for taking up your time, or, right? Like, don't put yourself down to put somebody else up, because that doesn't make the other person feel great either. So just be watching that kind of language. I think in general, you have a great vibe, very warm, very genuine, easy to relate to. I think you can continue to reach out and do interviews. Like, if you like this style, I think finding people who you connect with and resonate with, who, you know, has a message that is similar to yours, or someone who you genuinely want to ask questions of, I think is a great strategy. I think just being more consistent. I know you've been posting regularly to the channel, and keep that up. Like, it's you know, in quotes, easy to do a 30-day challenge, right? 30 days of videos. It's hard to do a 1,000-day challenge, and that's the difference, right? And so what people do all the time is 30-day weight loss challenge, right? And you lose weight, and then you're back to your old weight afterwards, right? And so it's great to stick to a 30-day challenge. It's a great start. If this is something that you badly want, then it's a 1,000-day challenge, right? It's a 5,000-day challenge. It's like every day I got to make videos every single day, and just pushing through the, you know, you may feel nobody's watching. You may feel like my message isn't good enough. What will people think about me? Pushing through the negative self-talk, because we tend to only focus on the negativity. That one comment that somebody says, you know, you're losing your hair or whatever, right? Like, you focus on the one negative comment, and what often happens is then we shrink down and we stop being ourselves and we stop producing content, as opposed to focusing on all the great things that we're doing, like the 100 people that we've helped versus the one person who didn't like what we're doing. And so I think just having that mindset every day, I'm focusing on the people who I'm helping and the message that I'm bringing, really helps. What else? In terms of doing interviews, I would say I love the questions. It's great. Some unique and interesting ones. I think it's great that you did your research and you know who you're talking to. You can bring up relevant points. I think always asking questions that you actually genuinely care about. And then sometimes the best questions come from a follow-up. So one of the challenges that I have in terms of curating content, and I watch tons of interviews in making the videos that we do. The interviewer asks a question, somebody then responds, and they give this great answer. And it's like, oh, tell me more. Like, what did you mean by that? And then the interviewer just goes on to the next question because they have this list of 10 questions that they need to get through. Where if you watch the best interviewers, Larry King and Oprah Winfrey and the people who really at the top of their game, they may come in with a list of 8 questions and they ask their first one and then they just go off on a different tangent and they never get to the other 7 that they asked because they're asking more interesting ones as follow-ups. And so quite often the best answers come from the follow-up questions that they get asked. And that just comes from a genuine curiosity. If you're genuinely interested in the person and their answer and it's helping you, like a lot of these can be when you're talking to people in interviews, it's like coaching session for yourself. It's like, what can I do? I'm really curious. I want to learn. I want to get better. And I think that really shines through. I'm super pumped for your channel. I think you have a lot of good things going for you. I think it's really easy to relate to you. And again, you're warm and friendly and genuine. And I think people will fall in love with you the more you create content and the more you share of yourself, and just keep smiling and keep pumping out the content and keep doing things that are meaningful to you. And your ultimate success comes when you can combine what your audience wants with what you are passionate about. And so it's easy to get lured into, well, this is what the audience wants, and I'm only going to make that. But then you lose your spark and your creativity and your drive and your fire. It always has to be a combination of what you love doing. Continue to explore and innovate, and whatever makes you come alive and feel creative, keep pumping that into the channel. I'm going to subscribe after this. I'm going to be paying attention. So I'm expecting some quality stuff from Alexandra in my YouTube feed.
It's coming, it's coming. Thank you, Evan. Thank you, I'm respecting your time. And I'm very grateful for this. See, this is better, right? Like this?
That's good.
Thank you. I know we're going to talk more, and I'm looking forward to some future connections to you. So I'm going to continue to believe, and I'll see you.
I love it. Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you.
Take care.